agenda items that we'll be dealing with that are substantive for today in the open session of this meeting. At this juncture, we would just like to move to the declaration of interest from the members, if there are any interest to declare. Members, any interest to declare? I take it that there are none. I also would like to request you members to fill in the declaration of interest form and email them to our secretariat, Madam Masongani. We'll then proceed and get item 5, which is the decision and reasons for decision for the application by Strategic Fuel Fund Association, also known as SFF, for a license to construct a liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, marine loading facility and its auxiliary pipeline located in Saldanha Bay in the Western Cape province. Over to you, EM and the team.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Mkhize, the chair and the members and the colleagues. Mr. Riba will assist in terms of introducing the submission and also allow Ms. Sibalo to just weigh in on the market impacts and analysis that was done in this application. Without wasting time, Mr. Riba, please come in and just consider it as read and just highlight the main issues to allow the members to make a decision. Thank you.
For all these presentations, I won't give more than 3 minutes for the presentation thereof.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members and colleagues. I hope I'm audible. The purpose of this submission is to request the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee to consider and approve the application launched by SFF to construct the following facilities. It's a 406 millimeter diameter marine loading facility on berth 104, which is known as the crude oil jetty in the port of Saldanha, and it's 8.2 kilometer unidirectional auxiliary pipeline linking the marine loading facility to the now acquired Avidia energy storage facility, which is located on Farm 13 and portion 13 of Farm 127 Easterwakensreg in Saldanha Bay. That's an existing storage facility. And also to approve the decision, the rules for decision, which are attached as the Annex 1, and the conditions of the license attached to that RFD as Annex A. Before I can proceed, just to point out that we had a pre-hearing on the 7th of July regarding this matter, and the members requested that we enhance the submission, and all of those are tabled in table 6 on page 8 to 9 of the cover submission, and they are also addressed in the RFD, enhanced in the RFD. This relates to the market issues mainly, which I'll allow Ms. Sibalo to enlighten you with, and also they'll mainly around the market issues, which were the main concerns that were raised by the members, and also on paragraph 17 on P8 of 81, just a correction there. We do say that the procurement process will be approved in July. Actually, the whole thing was postponed, and everything will be done like by October, like the detailed design and the procurement approvals will be done by November. All those were delayed, and the update was provided in the updated schedule for the entire project. Without wasting too much time, let me allow Ms. Sibalo just to take us through the market analysis as requested by the members, and and take it from there. Then I'll conclude. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, members and colleagues. I'd like to take the members through the market assessment, which was enhanced to include the impact of NERSA's approval on competition in the relevant markets, historical and forecast LPG data analysis, which showed that imports have been seen to increase and anticipated to increase by an average of 9% year on year until 2030, and the impact of the changes to LPG pricing, which has revealed that the pricing methodology for LPG was changed in 2020 to be more reflective of the LPG import dynamics, considering that most of the LPG consumed in South Africa is imported. These enhancements assisted in addressing members' comments as listed in Table 6, and various paragraphs have been referenced to guide the members to the sections in the RFD where the comments were addressed. I'd like to take the members briefly through the work done in the section on the impact of NERSA's approval on competition in the relevant markets. The following was considered in that particular assessment, being the structure of the LPG market and participants in the market, and then the relevant market was defined to be facilities required to import LPG both at a national level and within the Western Cape. Market shares and concentration levels were determined pre and post approval for the relevant markets, which showed that although the relevant markets remain highly concentrated, NERSA's approval of this application will significantly reduce the degree of concentration in these markets. The impact of NERSA's approval of this license on other indicators of competition, such as countervailing power and barriers to entry into and to expand within the relevant markets, were assessed and were seen to be positive. Even with these positive developments, being the approval of this application by SFF, competition within the relevant markets would still remain limited, particularly the concentration levels in the relevant markets for the facilities required to import LPG, which remain highly concentrated even with NERSA's approval of this application. All in all, Chairperson, the market assessment revealed positive outcomes should this application be approved by the members. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll then also like to take this time to, if from the legal side, anything you would like to say, Mr. Mbetsi?
Thank you, Chairperson. Now I don't have input at the moment. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. I think that Mr. Riba, then in line with changes to the project schedule, you will also need to then maybe look at the amendment of the outlay of funds in paragraph 24, which is on page 13 of 81, and others, just to amend them accordingly, if that the outlay of funds will then follow a different profile, please. Members, any questions, comments, guidance? By show of hands, please. I see Madam Massetti and Mr. Sbanda in that order. Over to you, Madam Massetti.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity. Mine, Chairperson, are just issues of maybe enhancements and maybe just improvements. If I may start off, Chairperson, on the comments that we made when we emphasized the importance of third-party access, knowing the challenges in that area. I think the matter is responded to in Table 6, Paragraph 1 of Table 6. It states that it's included in the RFD. My suggestion there, Chairperson, is to make sure that third-party access as well as interconnection provisions or clauses are included in the license conditions, not just to indicate that it will be in the decision as well as the RFDs. So there is supposed to also be in the license condition, the issue of third-party access. And then, Chairperson, There's an issue, Chairperson, the governance issue, but I think it's also important just for the fairness on the applicants in terms of the efficiency of taking regulatory decisions when we get license applications. It's important that we license infrastructure efficiently, take at least the minimum time to license infrastructure. I'm concerned about the timelines there because we've taken too long, Chairperson, especially if one looks at the fact that the application was submitted in January, 27 January, but the assessment of adequacy was done in March. It took more than a month just to check when the application comes in. It takes more than a month just to screen and check whether all the information is filed. I think that there's a need for improvement there, Chairperson. And also, I think, again, even after the licensee has published the application, it took us long. And my question is, did we even meet the statutory deadlines of 60 days? Because if you look at the fact that the information, the licensee was at least cooperative, submitted the information in March still, and then the confidentiality, look, when it submitted 31st of March, we take another 26 days just to do confidentiality. Yet the information was submitted by 31st of March by the licensee. We again delay for a month just to do, confidentiality claim on this matter, which is very, very wrong. It should have been done long ago in March still. Sorry, early in April, first week or so. And that is not good. Then in May, 19th May, the applicant published the application for 30 days. Supposed to be for 30 days, it should be reflected because the law states that it be published for 30 days. Then, right from our side, yes, we closed in July, on the 3rd of July. Then we have to calculate 60 days from the 3rd of July. And we're only bringing this to the committee in September, Chairperson, when it was the comments closed on the 3rd of July. Are we not beyond the 60 days here, Chairperson, if you look at the fact that it was supposed to be just 2 months? So that on its own, Chairperson, it shows that the process really was not efficient, and I think we can improve on that. It is really not on. The third issue that I would like to raise, Chairperson, for helping the decision here so that we are aware of the implications of the decision. I think from my side, I think it's important that the team clarified the issue of security of supply, given all of the other developments that are happening in that area and all of the other challenges. So it's important that we are clarified properly. How do we ensure security of supply? Number one. Number two, maybe additional this additional capacity through this infrastructure, whether that additional capacity in our assessment will ensure expansion of output in terms of the production, the volumes of LPG coming into the country, Chairperson. I think that is very important because the significance of allowing this infrastructure to go ahead, it must contribute to the expansion of the supply itself. So it's important that, therefore, in this, we clarify that it will ensure security of supply by expanding the output, and in what way it will expand that output in this region. The market assessment must touch on that. The second thing, Chairperson, for consideration that it must touch on, because we must also look into the revenue shortfalls or revenue erosion as well, because we don't want stranded assets that we have already licensed here. So I think it's important to see that will there be healthy competition and that these volumes are still needed because there is a demand, and therefore by licensing this one and adding these parties, if these parties were already in the market, it will not at least result in revenue erosion for the existing operations, such that then we see stranded assets, Chairperson. I think that also becomes our consideration. The last thing, Chairperson, that I would like to raise is just to make sure that not only just that there must be fair access, but also I think affordable access and reasonable prices of what is it, the tariffs as well as maybe LPG. I think it will require constant monitoring reports, Chairperson, for this particular area, so that we look closely what pans out in terms of competition and in terms of the functioning of the market in that part of the Western Cape. Thank you, Chairperson. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Madam Asati. Mr. Sibanda, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. I only have two general comments, Chair. I'm happy with the recommendations. The first issue, perhaps it doesn't relate to this particular application only, but I noted in a number of applications that by and large, applicants are not meeting the minimum information requirements, and which then prolongs the time it takes for us to assess applications. It just doesn't look right, Chair, if you consider that this application was first lodged in January. And it took a while for us to get back to the applicant to say that they are not meeting the minimum information requirements. But it's not just this application, Chair. I noted it in a number of applications, others that we're gonna deal with later. So, Chair, I'm just wondering whether we really, as a division, need to do something around this issue, because it can't be that applicants perpetually submit applications that are not adequate for us to process. And I'm not sure whether we do have workshops with them and to take them through the minimum information requirements and all of that, but it's quite concerning, Chairperson. If you look at the time it really takes us to deal with applications. Obviously, well, Ms. Massetti has touched on other issues as well that seem to be delaying us in processing applications. Those issues are quite urgent to be addressed, Chair. I mean, we can't keep on raising these things meeting after meeting, but there are certain timelines that just really, that are not logical if you look at them, to say, but why are we taking this much to deal with this particular step in the process? Others, of course, are justified. Others are regulated or legislated, but there are certain processes really that we can cut back on, and I think we've been singing this song forever, Chair. And for me, I think we just need to get on with it and see where we really shorten the timelines. But I was just concerned with the minimum information requirements. Surely there's something that we can do. We cannot keep on returning applications for lack of adequacy. I'm sure there's something that we can do from our side. Chairperson, the second comment, I think for me is just an acknowledgement in terms of the notable improvement regarding the market analysis. I was quite happy to read that particular portion of the submission and see the kind of analysis that went in. I also noted the cross-pollination or the assistance also from other, especially the gas division, which I think we should encourage throughout the organization. But Chair, I just wanted to acknowledge the work that has been done. I think there's a notable improvement in the market analysis section, also trying to look at the competition analysis and the market dynamics and all of that, which really has assisted in enhancing the submission. And I think the team should be applauded for that. I think those are my only general comments, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. Omere Masetti, I see your hand is up. Or is it a lingering hand?
No, it's not from my side, Chairperson. It's down from my side.
Oh, it's done. Okay. All right. With those, I just would like to emphasize the issues that have been raised. At the same time, Mr. Sibanda, with thanks for commending the team regarding the market analysis. The staff member involved in that has moved over to competition under gas, but because of the way we are working together, there will still be assistance, especially when it comes to competition issues, because it's moving into that. She has moved to that unit already, and we're looking forward to continue to collaborate and work together, even with RAR. We must say that we're finding that the team is able to work well with them. And I think kudos to the team in that regard. Then the other issue concerning the timelines, the licenses meeting minimum information requirements, I find it a very disturbing because it amounts to regressing. And where this is a team that prided itself of having pre-application engagements such that the licenses were very clear as to what they need to do and actually being able to deal with major issues. So prior to the team maybe tackling specifics, I would like the EM as the head to respond to the issues of the timelines as well as failure by licenses to get it right the first time, and what is being done in that regard. EM and then the rest of the team to respond.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, members, for the comments. As indicated, I think most are are comments for enhancement, and we appreciate that. The issue of timelines, as Mr. Sibanda indicated, yes, it has been coming, and it's something that we really need to look at. For me, Chair, it's the balance from trying to address the minimum requirement and also the questions that have come up in the previous meeting to ensure that we have a sufficient document to support whatever recommendation that will follow, and learning from previous PPS meeting of things that have been raised and the arguments that have been put on us to try and ensure that we have sufficient document. However, yes, indeed, we still have a pre-application workshop taking place, and maybe we should try and see if our rules are still up to date, and also the minimum requirement based on the learnings that we've had in the previous PPS, and so that will allow us to ensure that we get the correct application at the first submission. Yes, we do note that, and also, I wanted to make comments, but I think Mr. Mkhize stole my line of thoughts there in terms of the market analysis. We do really appreciate the support that we get from colleagues from competition of side of gas, and also our legal and also RAR. We do appreciate the collaboration that we have, and we will continue to try and work well with them to ensure that our submission are balanced in terms of addressing all the issues. Thanks, Mr. Mkhize. I'm not sure if there's anything else. Oh, I think in terms of the comment on the fair and affordability, yes, we've had a number of queries put forward, and we are working with the department as the regulator responsible for the price of gas as part of our advocacy to ensure that that matter is also addressed. So thank you, Chair.
I think the issue of the affordability part is what should come out when we're looking at the tariff. We should really zoom in there, because that is an area that is going to assist in dealing with affordability. And besides, the fact that there's going to be more than one facility will also help in terms of competition, which will tend to have a downward effect on the price. I think it's important to emphasize that, as well as in your response regarding timelines and meeting minimum requirements. I think we will maybe outside of this meeting, members, I will engage with the EM and the team to make sure that we've got something more firm, really, because if there must be some kind of periodic workshops, or looking at what should go into this minimum information requirements when it comes to pre-application engagement, because it's not just that you engage before the application is lodged, it's the quality of the engagement that is going to be important, is going to help. And also, we have said before, when you've got an application, I'm saying this thing because prior even to signing, that's what I indicated to say, please do account for the time that you spend. If you're spending a month to verify adequacy, provide the reasons why it's taking a month instead of 2 weeks. You know, that kind of a thing, for improvement to be there. We need to not keep members in the dark. Let's, in the submission in particular, account for the time spent processing an application. Mr. Untit, and then if you can just respond to the rest of the issues then.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think the EM has explained, and we take note of the comments in terms of the timelines. But I do want to place on record that we did meet with them. We did have pre-engagements, in fact, too, and the application did not come in as per guidance. I want to place that on record. In terms of the other issues, regarding what Ms. Maseti was highlighted, we know the third-party access, and we'll again critically look if we can't enhance it even further, as you indicated, plus interconnection. In terms of the insecurity of supply and the capacity and the output, we have analyzed the Sunrise facility utilization. Yeah, in terms of being an open forum, I'm not sure to what extent I can give the details, but the point is there is currently no uncommitted capacity, which is a publicly published on there and our website, and therefore that also indicates, plus the reports that we have in terms of the tank turnovers, that there is in fact a need for more capacity. In fact, Sunrise has publicly in the media stated that they are also considering even using aspects like floating storage to address the interim need to have more products. So I think the demand and to ensure security of supply, this facility will definitely help. Plus, the Avidia facility has currently not been having any throughputs due to their business rescue. This is public information, and therefore this will also enable that, well, once it's constructed, to also increase the volumes going through that facility. So that will also add to security of supply. Revenue erosion, I think Mr. Balu has done all the hard work, and I don't want to maybe then say too much about that, but we have considered that, Ms. Maseti, but maybe Mr. Balu, you can just touch on that. My only other comment is that in terms of the Ms. Mutwa referred to it, We are working with the department closely in terms of the pricing issues, because you would have seen in the media that there is a price was a predicted price concern in terms of that. And the more competition, obviously, as Mr. Mkhizo's indicated, should help that. So they are looking at the molecule supply situation, while as NASA we need to ensure that there is sufficient infrastructure available, and that is what this application will also be promoting in our view. Mr. Balu, maybe just in terms of the revenue erosion and one or two other things, please.
Thanks, Martin. We have assessed SFF's projections, also assessing the projections against the forecast LPG demand, and we are of the view that they are satisfactory. Projections by SFF are sound and reasonable. Demand growth of imports for LPG supports this capital investment. And you have also touched on the performance of the Sunrise infrastructure, so I will not go into that. But in terms of revenue erosion, we are of the view that projections provided by SFF are sound, and they have been tested against anticipated or forecast LPG imports as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I take it that this also implies that there won't be erosion of revenue by the existing player, in the sense that there is more demand than the supply currently. Hence, the issue of stranded assets is not a risk, a major risk, so to say. That is what is important to convey. Members, are you happy with the responses?
Yes, Chairperson, I'm happy from my side, and I think it balances the analysis. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up, Mr. Sibanda. Let me just go to the recommendations then, which is that the SSF application for a license to construct the facility, and then it's under 44, it's actually under paragraph 44, to request the Petroleum Pipelines subcommittee to consider and approve the application lodged by SFF for a license to construct the following facilities. One is a 406 millimeter diameter marine loading facility on berth 104, the crude oil jetty within the port of Saldanha. And two, it's a 8.2 kilometer long, 254 millimeter diameter unidirectional auxiliary pipeline linking it to the Avidia Energy Pty Ltd LPG storage facility located on portion 13 of Farm 127 Zeevarkensreg in Saldanha Bay. Also to consider and approve the decision and reasons for decision document attached here to as Annexure 1, as well as the conditions of the license attached here to as Annexure 2, subject to the enhancement that have been put forth during the meeting. By show of hands, members, if you support the recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda, Madam Simane, Madam Maseti, Advocate Stole. I also support. We may then move on to item 6, which is a decision and reasons for decision on the tariff application by SA Tanks Terminals Pty Ltd for its storage facility located in Rudakop, Gauteng Province, for the period 1 March 2024 to 28 February 2025. Please take the matter as read, and you've got your maximum 3 minutes. How you divide it is up to you. Madam Bogo and the team.
Thank you, Chairperson. The purpose, Chairperson, is to request the PPS not to approve the tariffs applied for by SA Tank Terminals, and also to approve the decision and reasons for decision document, which is attached to the submission as Annexure A. The complete application was submitted in March, on the 7th of March 2023, and it was then declared adequate for processing after verifications and preparation of the draft model on the 23rd of March. We noted that SA Tank Terminals used an outdated version of the methodology. The licensee was, however, requested to furnish the energy regulator with all information required in terms of the applicable methodology, and that is version 5 of the methodology. And we've also noted that the tariffs applied for in this application about 76% lower than the tariffs that were approved for the 2013-14 financial year. And this is mainly due to higher volumes following addition of 6 tanks to the facility, which increased the capacity of the facility by about 1,570 cubic meters. And as such, the volumes projected for the period under the review, more than 5 times the volumes that were used in the 2013-14 tariff determination, whilst the allowable revenue is increasing by a much lower percentage. In doing our volume analysis, Chairperson, we've noted that SET actually used the volume projections for the 2022-23 financial year, and that was the latest estimate at the time the application was launched in March 2023. However, we then, after the fact in July, requested a confirmation of the actual volumes for that period, being 2022-23, and these were much higher than the volumes that were initially used in the application. And as such, in the NESA analysis is based on the updated volumes for that period, and that has led, that coupled with the differences in the net working capital, as well as the weighted average cost of capital, are the major contributors to the tariff, to the different tariffs that are determined by NESA and CERT. And as therefore, the percentage difference in the tariffs determined by NESA and CERT falls outside the approval range. Hence, our recommendation for PPS not to approve the tariffs applied for, and for the approval of the decision and reasons for decision document. In the decision, Chairperson, just to highlight that we are also proposing that the licensee be directed to file an updated application within 30 days of transmission of this decision, so that by the time the tariff application, the tariff period commences, which is March, we've already started assessing that and ready to have a tariff for that period. Thank you, Chairperson. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. We note that. I think it's also important to highlight that as far as possible, let's try to get multi-year tariff applications. Just so that there is some level of certainty that is created and we can have good line of sight going forward. Hope you note that. Members, any questions, comments, guidance to the team by show of hands? Madam Massetti?
Chairperson, I support the recommendations. I just have one suggestion to add. On the recommendations, if on the recommendations, Chairperson, we can also just provide guidance to the licensee here, so that we don't leave the matter hanging, because there must be compliance at the end of the day, so that the licensee has the tariff when the time arrives, which is March 2024. So I would request that we add in the decision that the applicant must therefore amend its tariff application and resubmit within 30 days or 60 days, whatever the period, Chairperson. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to a muted mic. Thank you very much, Madam Massetti. I think that is in order, members, in terms of the suggestion. Mr. Sibanda, over to you, sir. You may also reflect on the suggestion put forth.
Chair, I'm fine with the suggestion. I only had one comment. I think probably Ms. Boko has touched on it or clarified in terms of the volumes, because I saw that we actually had a figure that is much higher than what the applicant had projected. My only comment, Chair, would be to say that perhaps we just need to be cautious. Obviously, these are projections, so that we don't overestimate the volumes. Yeah, I mean, there are global implications for this. But if the team is satisfied that they have applied the right analysis, then I think I'm okay with that. I just had that comment. And perhaps to have a look at paragraph 41 as well, because we talk of the application falling within the parameters. I'm not sure if it should be within or outside the 5 to 10% parameter. That is, yeah, perhaps we can have a look at that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. Appreciate it. Those are enhancements. I just don't know whether you want to reflect on that before we move to the decision. Madam Bogo? Or EM?
Okay.
Or Madam Bogo, proceed.
Oh, thank you very much, Chair and members. We'll take those into account. And it is actually outside the parameters. Apologies for that error there. We'll fix it. Thank you, Chair.
I think it's going to be important then also to make sure that you engage with the applicant prior to the lodgement, which then brings me to the time frame. I don't think that we need specifically deal with the issue of the time frame to the T here. But I don't know, Mr. Mbetsi, do you have any comment in that regard?
No, not at the moment, Chairperson. Thank you.
Okay, so it just we look at the reasonable time frame within legislation for the applicant to then lodge a new application, preferably multi-year application, and also to engage with regard to volumes and other matters that are pertinent to a new application being lodged. That is what you will add to the recommendation. So the recommendation is as follows. It is recommended that the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee not approve the tariffs of 9.90 cents per liter applied for by the SATT for its petroleum storage facility for the period 1 March 2024 to 28 February 2025. Approves the decision and reasons for decision document attached here to as Annexure A, and also approve that it be the licensee be the applicant be directed to lodge an application within a period to be specified, in line with the new methodology. Yeah, I think that would suffice. Members, by show of hands, if you support the recommendation put forth. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Thank you, Advocate Tole. Thank you, Madam Aseti. Thank you, Madam Simane. This then concludes item 6, It then takes us to item 7. These other items are more of reports, the periodic or regular reports. The first one being the biannual report on the monitoring and enforcement of compliance with operation license condition. Mr. Untit and the team, please weigh in.
Thank you, Chair. If Mr. Lukele is here, we can save time by him just highlighting the key issues. Are you in? Otherwise, I'll continue, Mr. Lukele.
Sorry, Martin, it's Mr. Mapodi for the operation.
Apologies.
Thank you.
Apologies.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members and colleagues. The purpose of the report is to request PPS to note the first biannual report for 2023-24 financial year on the level of compliance by licensee with the conditions of the operation licenses. The report covers standard reporting format using the following section. Section A will cover average actual storage utilization, allocation mechanism and third-party access, HDSA participation. Section B will cover annual reporting in terms of Regulation 6, and Section C, it's site visit. Section A, average actual storage facility utilization. In terms of monthly storage facility utilization from above bulk facility, due to report on their monthly utilization, the average level for the reporting period is 95%, and for the below bulk is standing at 69%. For allocation mechanism, 85% of all the petroleum storage licensees have lodged the allocation mechanism with the energy regulator. HDSA, which is Regulation 8, the level of compliance in terms of reporting on Regulation 8 is at 90% for the reporting period. The overall compliance level with license condition and the regulation in the reporting period is above 80%. Annual reporting in terms of Regulation 6, 80% of licensees reported for the annual reporting period. Section C, site visit. Currently, we have conducted 15 out of 51 planned site visit for the financial year, and the outstanding site visit will be conducted during Q2 and Q3. It is recommended that the PPS note the first annual report attached as Annexure 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mapoli. Any comments, questions, guidance from the members by show of hands? Advocate Tole, over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Chairperson, and thanks to the presenter. Chair, I just wanted to check with the team as to whether our framework that was approved in 2019, is it still adequate to cover some of the issues that they are picking up during the site visits or the inspections? Because if one looks at some of the percentages of compliance, they are ranging, I think, from 80 to 90%. So I just wanted to find out if is there some consideration of reviewing the framework to cover some of the areas that, or rather the issues or challenges that are being picked up during the monitoring and enforcement process. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Advocate Tole. A response? So I don't see any other hands, just your response, Mr. Mapoli. Or Mr. Untit?
If I can go ahead, Chair, through you, yes, CEO, indeed, what we've observed is that on some in the framework, they still requires us to first send 3 emails and then escalate it and then escalate it. So we will, there is an annual review, there is a stipulated review process, I think, of 3 years in the procedure itself, but we will then be looking at what we've observed. I think the main areas where the compliance is pulled down is the below bulk licensees, but the rest has actually improved, but there is maybe still room to improve our framework and make us more efficient in terms of bringing it quicker escalating it. And then we haven't to date used the tribunal. We haven't reached that point, and maybe it is because of all these number of reminders and steps before we can escalate that we can maybe get to that point. But yeah, we do note, and I think there is room to improve in terms of that, the procedure or the framework.
Thank you, Mr. Untit. Advocate Stoller, are you happy with the response?
Yes, I am, Chair. But if it's 3 years, let's just note that I think 3 years is past. I think this is the final year or so. So we may have to really speed up the review of the framework. But I'm happy with the response, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, then we go to the recommendation, which is the recommendation for the PPS to note the biannual report attached here to as Annexure 1 on the level of compliance by licenses with the condition of their operation licenses issued for the financial year 2023-2024 as at 31st July 2023. If you can just correct also the grammar there, please. With that recommendation, by show of hands, members, if you support the recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Advocate Stoller. I don't see the other members. Oh, thanks, Madam Maseti, Madam Simane. I also do support from my side. The majority has supported, so we proceed on that basis. This then concludes item 7. We'll then move to item 8, which is the biannual report on the monitoring and enforcement of compliance with construction license conditions. We're dealing with operation license conditions previously. Now we're dealing with the construction license conditions. Over to you, Mr. Untit or Mr. Lokele, just to come straight to present.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair, and good day to everyone. This is the first biannual report as required by the annual performance plan for this financial year. And the report seeks to provide updates on the construction project that are licensed by NERSA, as well as new applications that came through. Currently, there are 14 projects that are deemed to be still active. Since the last biannual report noted by PPS in March, there's only one change to the license project, and this is indicated in paragraph 10 on page 6 of the report, and this is with respect to the completion of construction by Transnet of the SAPREF replacement tanks. And all the 14 projects are in the pre-construction stage, with one project terminated, and the revocation application is being processed. And the details of each project, Chair, are provided in Table 2B on page 8. And with respect to the application, Chair, NERSA received 2 new applications during the reporting period. One application by BTT for the revocation of its Insando LPG storage facility construction license, and the other application by Transnet for the amendment of the construction timelines for TM1, and these applications are being processed. And then with respect to the long outstanding matter of VOPEC Richards Bay construction project, on 30 August 2023, VOPEC submitted a revised application, which is also being processed. And the last aspect, Chair, is regarding non-compliance, which is discussed in Section 5 of the Section 3 of the report on page 17 of the report. And during the reporting period, Chair, there were about 3 licenses with respect to 4 projects that are deemed to be non-compliant. and the non-compliance with respect to failure to meet the construction timelines. However, as already indicated, one project of the 4 is terminated, and this is by BTT, it's under project, and the other 2 projects are by Avidia Energy, and this is linked to the SFF application that was first item considered by PPS today, which one of the key reasons of the delay of the Avidia project was interconnection, or rather an ability by Avidia to receive product by a marine loading facility. And the other project of which there is non-compliance is with respect to the VOPEC Richards Bay project, and then there is an amendment application before NESA to revise the timelines. With that, Chair, the recommendation is for the PPS to note the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lukele. Any questions, comments, guidance members? I take it. Oh, yes, Mr. Sibanda. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, just 1 or 2 issues. Maybe the first one is an update on the Transnet amendment application. In terms of the report, we're still assessing the adequacy, and this was submitted on the 14th of July already. Maybe we can be updated on that. The second issue, I noted that there are quite a number of disputes and legal challenges. But what is not clear to me is whether, as either cited as respondents or whatever it is, perhaps this could be, they might be contained in the, the legal services report that goes to ARC. But just for my benefit, perhaps if could be clarified as to whether any of these matters do involve us. There is, for instance, a matter involving Lanele, another one Naport, and then another one OPEC Richards Bay. So maybe if we can just get an indication of whether we are involved, and if not, whether we are playing any advocacy role in those particular matters, if obviously, have any advocacy role to play in those, considering obviously that these are legal dispute, contractual dispute matters or whatever it is. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. The only hand, may you please respond, Mr. Untit, as well as Mr. Lukele.
Chair, in terms of the status of the Transnet Amendment number 8 for the construction license, Mr. Sibanda's question, it was declared complete after they did submit the additional information to support the need for the facility. So what we call the adequacy letter, the completeness letter is basically now ready to sign. I'm not sure if it's gone out or will go out in the next day, but it's now the processing of the application can now start, Mr. Sibanda, as effective 5 or today. Then your question about the disputes and our involvement, in the light of maybe the sensitivity of some of the information, I'll be vague, but we will provide you with more details if required. So definitely in the Lanele amendment, we did indicate that that was considered by the PPS. We did indicate that there was advocacy role, but what we could only do that once the application was complete, because while the application was pending. Post that, there was an active process. Even the FTRM was part of that, and there was visits, and there was meetings, and there was communication. So definitely that one we're involved. But there is also a possibility of that having to go to court in terms of some of the aspects which falls outside NERSA's jurisdiction. Richards Bay was I think resolved, and I think you've heard the update. So that was between the Ports Authority and the licensee themselves. That was resolved, and as a result, this long outstanding matter is now being let's say revived or can go forward, and we've now received a new application basically. So I think it's positive in terms of that one. Lanele, I think this is public. If I remember, the court roll is public. So there is a matter between the parties already ongoing in litigation, as per the court roll that we've seen. So yeah, that one maybe they haven't formally approached this. We have been dealing with it though similarly to the Naport matter. So I hope I've answered your questions, Mr. Sibanda. And maybe, apologies, Chairs, maybe just for the benefit of the members, there was an earlier question about the SARPREF tanks in the session from the members. So this report then also confirms that was indeed closed off. I think that one of the members did ask that question. It was in fact closed off as reported by this report, and Mr. Lukelia highlighted it.
Thank you. Is there anything you want to add, Mr. Lukelia?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sibanda, are you happy with the response provided?
Chairperson, yes, I'm happy with the response. It was just a concern that we've got a number of these projects that are actually being delayed through disputes and legal challenges and all of that. So I was a bit, just wanted to check what our role is, but I'm happy with the response. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. This then brings us to the recommendation, which is on P4 of 30. It is recommended that the PPS notes the biannual report on the monitoring and enforcement of compliance and with construction license conditions, which is attached here to as Annexure 1 on the progress made on the projects licensed by NERSA and the level of compliance by the licensees. By show of hands, members. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Thank you, Madam Maseti, Advocate Stole. I also support the recommendation. This then concludes item 8 and brings us to item 9, which is the infrastructure utilization and third-party access to petroleum storage facilities for presentation by Dr. Olo.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members, management, colleagues, and members of the public. I'll be brief. As far as the infrastructure utilization, we do the analysis, among others, to be able to facilitate third-party access. Relatively speaking, especially when you look at in terms of the non-integrated oil companies, there has been an increase in terms of those that have been offered space. In March, we reported that there were 8, but now they have moved to 12. They increased to 12 as per page 4 of 34 of the document. Last week, Friday, there was also another offer made to a third party. I made a follow-up with the third party because we haven't seen the response. They informed me that they are finalizing on their side as far as the request is concerned. It means that we might now move from 12 to 13. But there's also another aspect where, as far as paraffin is concerned, we have seen an number of requests, people inquiring about paraffin. But we also realize that there are SARS requirements in place, of which have been a bottleneck as far as NESA trying to facilitate third-party access. We met with SARS in July, but because of confidentiality, the staff that met with us couldn't disclose more. And then what we did, we wrote to SARS, and I'm happy to report to members that tomorrow the commissioner has sort of dedicated to staff to sort of engage with us because we sort of highlighted the issue of confidentiality, where we sort of cannot get more information in terms of how we can try and resolve this matter. Well, with that, I would like the members to know that about. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kolo. Members, any comments, questions, guidance wish to provide? I don't see any hands. And then in the absence of the hands, here's Mr. Sbanda's hand. Over to you, Mr. Sbanda.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Sorry for the delayed hand there. And thank you to Dr. Claude. Chair, the one issue that I wanted to raise, so there's a licensee that seemingly provided incorrect information, and this comes across as if this was deliberate, which is really worrying if that is the case, and could be an offense in terms of the law, and we raise issues of lack of transparency there. I'm just not too sure what our take is on that particular matter, because we're raising it, but it's not coming out clearly whether this was a deliberate attempt at misleading the regulator or not, and if so, I think it's something that we need to follow through with. And then the other issue, obviously, that was also a concern, which I think has been alluded to or touched upon, is the whole question of us not getting information from SARS on account of confidentiality. We are a public entity, and surely there shouldn't be any hindrance to us getting the information that we require, especially from other state institutions. And perhaps it might be, Chair, that if we think that we might have ongoing engagement with SARS, we may want to consider maybe a kind of memorandum of agreement with them, so that it's easy to collaborate on these matters if we don't have one already. But I think it's something that we need to look into. Otherwise, it's quite concerning that we don't get information because it's deemed to be confidential from a state institution. Well, the last issue is just the HR implications that have been cited by the unit, and I guess this is a management issue that can be looked into. I'm sure there are resources that can be utilized within PPR, but for me, it's just a management issue, and that's on paragraph 13.1 of the submission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sbanda. On this one, I think maybe to start off, I think on paragraph 60, we may need to delete the second sentence because this matter is still being looked into in its entirety. I had requested a report as the full-time regulator member primarily responsible for the area regarding what actually transpired there. And it is the report is just due to the EM being out of the country. there were delays in terms of getting that report. So I do have the report. It was forwarded yesterday, the day before yesterday, I mean, and we'll look into this matter of the provision of incorrect information. And then with regard to the other matters, maybe Dr. Polo, if you may respond.
Thank you, Chair. And thanks, Mr. Sibanda. On the SARS, indeed, sir. When we met with them, they were sort of also keen in terms of having ongoing engagement with NERSA. That will happen to ensure that there is alignment in terms of what we do, not just now, but even in future. As far as the HR matters, we know that the management is sort of looking into that. Thank you so much.
I think also on that, Mr. Sibanda, it's important for us as NERSA and this division in particular to form strategic partnerships with other regulatory authorities. And the meeting that Dr. Polo highlighted is moving towards exactly that, to make sure that there is collaboration. Noting also the issue of security of information, in the sense that one of the key issues is when information is provided for a specific purpose, not then find itself being used for something else in terms of issues of legality around the provision of information that we'll have to also observe. Hence the need to engage and find proper ways of collaborating with regard to the sharing of information. I don't know if there's anything else, Mr. Sibanda, we covered.
Covered, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. This then takes me to the recommendation on paragraph 15 of page 7 of 34, where it is recommended that the PPS notes the mechanisms that NERSA is put in place to ensure that access to petroleum storage facilities is fair. This applies to all instances where NERSA is being copied when access requests are being made, and facilitating when there are challenges. To note also the report, which is attached here to as Annexure A on the analysis of the infrastructure utilization to determine uncommitted capacity and third-party access at the petroleum storage facilities. Also note the list of petroleum storage facilities identified to have uncommitted capacity attached here to as Annexure B. To also note the new challenges impacting on the work of NERSA pertaining to third-party access. And to also note that while the issue of SARS and paraffin has not yet been resolved, it is recommended to exclude paraffin from the published list until such time that there is clarity from SARS in order to avoid misinforming third parties. With that, members, by show of hands, if you support the recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Madam Maseti, Advocate Stolle, I also support. This then concludes item 9 and takes us to item 10, which is a report on the inland security of supply.
Thank you, Chair. I also lead on this one. I would like to bring the members' attention that because we previously talked about the tariff, but the point of reference here is different from that used by tariffs colleagues. Here we're focusing on the multi-product pipeline, which is bringing the product from the coast to the inland, whilst our tariffs colleagues, they look at the system. So what we've observed, because Transnet provided us with the projections last year, and based in terms of the actual volumes, we have seen that there has been sort of a 3% more volumes than there was projected by Transnet. And what also they are projecting for 2023-24 is a 2% increase, which is aligned to that we receive from our source. With that, I would like the members to, maybe what is also important, I nearly forgot. Previously, jet was not injected into a pipeline, although it was part of a plan. Because of the challenges that we experienced last year, for instance, there were floods, which sort of damaged the infrastructure. So the rail infrastructure, as a result, is sort of, in a way, forced Transnet to sort of look into the alternative, which is the pipeline, although it was part of the plan when they sort of conceptualized the project. With that, I would like the members to know the report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Klolo. Members, any questions, comments, guidance? I see none. If not, let me take you to the recommendation, which is under paragraph 15 on page 6 of 12. It is recommended that the PPS notes the first submission of the 2023-24 financial year reporting on the inlet security of supply. 2, changes made to simplify the report as requested at the PPS meeting of 8 February 2023 to be adopted going forward. And lastly, that the report focuses on the improved utilization of the multi-product pipeline. By show of hands, members, if you support the recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda, Madam Massetti, Advocate Tole. I also this then takes us to the end of the open session of the meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the members of the public that have been following us through the various live streaming platforms. We really appreciate you taking interest in the work of NERSA. And then I also want to thank members as well as management led by Madam Tua.